Very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us today on Nationwide. I am Tessie Justin Bisong. The Federal Executive Council has given approval for the augmentation of an existing road contract in Enugu State from an initial sum of 10.3 billion naira in 2012 to 15.734 billion naira. Acting President Professor Yemi Osinbajo has inaugurated various projects worth 5 billion naira constructed in various parts of Zamfara State with a charge on beneficiaries to imbibe a maintenance culture. The inauguration of the projects, which cuts across various sectors, is part of the activities marking the 7th year of Governor Yari's administration. Haliru Umar reports.
The projects commissioned by the acting president include a general hospital, renovated, expanded, and provided with modern equipment to improve health care delivery system. Others are reconstructed Abubakar Chino Model Primary School, Government Girls College, and a 12.8-kilometer bypass road all in Talatam Mafara local government area. Speaking at the occasion, the acting president commended the Zamfara state government for the provision of the facilities despite the security challenges facing the state.
I'd like to reiterate the total determination of the federal government to support and work with the state government to permanently deal with and defeat these challenges and to ensure that this state remains a promising land of agriculture, of commerce, of tourism, and hospitality.
Governor Abdulaziz Yari says the projects were informed by his desire to impact positively on the lives of the people in the state. He also applauded the federal government's initiative of deploying additional troops to intensify the fight against armed bandits in the state.
We hope this tempo will be sustained so that our state will be able to reclaim its lost glory by being the most peaceful state, hospitable throughout the federation.
The project inaugurated were among the over 200 executed by Governor Abdulaziz Yari administration. In Gusau, Halir Muhammad Umar, NTA News.
The Federal Executive Council has given approval for the augmentation of an existing road contract in Enugu State from an initial sum of 10.3 billion naira in 2012 to 15.734 billion naira.
Because of lack of appropriate budgeting and funding, all of these projects could not be completed. There were also failures in the implementation as we inherited it. There was also the need to provide for erosion control measures and drains. So that has led to a revision of the existing contract awarded in 2012 from 10.3 billion to 15.734 billion. So it's that revision to enable the contracts to be completed that was presented and approved in Council today.
Issues relating to provision of permanent voters card, duplication of items, as well as disparity in provision of constituencies dominated interactions between the House Committee on Electoral and Political Parties Matters when management of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) appeared to defend the supplementary budget for 2019 elections. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the 2019 election proposal stands at over 189 billion naira. This figure is 69 billion naira higher than the amount spent for the 2015 elections.
It is important for us to approach the budget proposal from both process and content perspective. It is only by so doing that one can begin to unravel the intricacies of the entire range of issues involved and their interconnectedness.
The 2019 general election will be conducted in 1,558 constituencies, made up of 1 presidential constituency, 109 senatorial districts, 360 federal constituencies, 991 state constituencies. We have 29 governorship elections out of 36 because 7 elections are conducted off-season. And for the first time, the general election is coinciding with the area council elections in the FCT.
Members of the National Assembly have been advised to put behind their personal interest and uphold national interest by reconvening the National Assembly to consider executive communications. Gaston Good Morning Nigeria reiterated this while discussing the topic, breaking the impasse in the National Assembly. Oyeyemi Ajayi has the details.
Have continued to react to the decision of the National Assembly not to reconvene as expected on Tuesday. Some say this action is not in the interest of the country as a whole, knowing that the 2019 general elections are fast approaching. Part of the issues on the program is the need for the Senate President Bukola Saraki to follow the path of Senator Godswill Akpabio by resigning, urging politicians not to unnecessarily overheat the polity for their own good alone at the detriment of the people.
I think what we are descending into now is more or less getting into hate speech by one party against the other. And that is frightening because it's overheating the polity.
The Senate itself, with due respect to them, they are not totally, not all of them, but most of them are not totally honest with Nigerians. It seems that personal interest has overridden the national interest, and they are trying to load it on everybody.
The guests agreed that the National Assembly is the lifeline of the people, and therefore they should listen and yield to the pressure of the people by reconvening to address salient issues before it, especially the INEC budget.
I want to call on the Senate, I want to call on the House of Representatives to look at Nigeria, to look at the project that is ahead of Nigeria, the 2019 election, the welfare of the people, and they need to fast track because the efficacy and efficiency of any legislature is measured in terms of its capacity to come forth with proactive legislations, laws for the good governance of the particular political entity. This seems to be lacking in this scenario.
Even if the National Assembly were to pass INEC budget, it is just an infinitesimal part of it. It doesn't solve the problem because the Independent National Electoral Commission cannot conduct election without the backing of the other security agencies.
In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Well, exactly 1 week ago, the National Assembly was barricaded by security agents, eliciting condemnation from within and outside the country. Timothy Yusuf takes a look at the incident against the backdrop of the immediate response of the government to it, with an insight in similar incidents recorded in the past within the current political dispensation.
This was the scenario of the first incidents of National Assembly barricade on the 20th of November 2014. It was like a tug of war between the security agencies and assembly members. At the inner quarters of the assembly, it was another confusion. This time among the members themselves, with the then Senate President visibly in it.
We are not happy. What happened to us today? This is our life. It's our country. Nobody will deny us. Our father.
In this incident, the then PDP government of the day was not forthcoming in its response to the fracas despite allegations leveled against it as the perpetrator.
What happened to us in 2014? As of today, nothing happened. Nobody is apprehended. Nobody is charged for anything that done to the National Assembly.
And it was state-sponsored because you can remember people like Olisametu, Doyin Okukpe. They came praising what the police did at that time.
The last time, where Tamboa and other House of Rep has been denied access to the National Assembly, nothing has happened because the government is not serious.
My name is Aminu Waziri Tambol, the Speaker of this House.
Absolutely. Are you true citizens of this country, my friends?
Officer, how are you? Please approach me, please.
But this was not the case of the Second National Assembly barricade on Tuesday, 7th of August 2018. The APC government led by President Muhammadu Buhari made a quick response in condemning the act and actively dissociated itself with the development. Director General of the Department of State Services, Lawal Daura, immediately lost his job under the directive of the presidency.
The National Assembly is the people's parliament. That's the assemblage of Nigerians. Those are the representatives of Nigerians. So whatever that will lead to desecration of the hallowed chambers, we must be very careful how we follow it. That apart, why the reputation of what happened last week by one of the security agencies is because there was no deterrent of what happened in 2014. And this time around, well, I must give kudos to the acting president for acting swiftly.
2014, you can say that that was outright state-sponsored terrorism, the state-sponsored attack on a legitimate National Assembly in which the APC was in majority. It might interest you to know, using figures, that when Tambuwal and others moved over to APC, APC as a party was in majority. In the House, they had 181 members of the House. And PDP then had about 156. Other parties combined were 23. So either way you look at it, APC was in majority. There was no moral burden for Tambuwal to share the crown of being the leader of the House of Rep. Unlike what we see today, whereby APC is in majority. Yes, Saraki can take his rightful decision to move out of the party, but not to go outside the party where both the leader, the Senate president and the deputy are in the opposition.
We in Nigeria, we have seen the difference between the last government and the present government. We know that this government is a government that obeys rules and regulations. It's a government that likes the democracy to mature. It's a government that concerned with the national development of this country.
General consensus says this prompt action by the Buhari administration is a veritable lesson not only for Nigeria's democracy, but for Nigeria as a nation in its quest for the desired political culture for the people and for the African continent. As for Nigerians, by this act, the nation is taking its leadership role on the continent and a shining example to the world. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
Meanwhile, National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has a recall on the reactions by the APC caucus of the House of Representatives in the aftermath of the barricade.
Swift reaction to the barricade at the National Assembly, the All Progressives Congress caucus immediately issued a press statement vehemently condemning the incident, which it described as inimical to democratic tenets in the country, and commended the prompt action taken by the federal government against it.
That the DG of the DSS was summarily fired by the presidency. Those are facts. And I think what these facts point to is that we all stand together to defend our democracy. Nobody here would accept what happened.
As a caucus, we are one, and we are with our president, and that is President Muhammadu Buhari, and we are even with him, with the decision and the actions both the president and the acting president have taken in the last few days.
The caucus expressed disappointment on how the barricade was being given partisan coloration, noting that the APC stands to condemn any move that threatens democracy in Nigeria, and recalled that unlike a similar barricade of the National Assembly in November 2014, in which the government of the day was not fully absolved of blame for such incidents, in this case, the APC government, led by President Muhammadu Buhari, came out fully to condemn the barricade.
The president, we know for a fact, was not aware of what happened, was not involved, and the moment he heard, he took the right decisions. We remember vividly in 2015 or 2014, when the same thing, or perhaps even worse, happened in the National Assembly. Our PDP members stood with us, and today we would have wished that they were here for us to stand with them shoulder to shoulder.
It, however, urged all stakeholders to await outcome of investigations and emergence of facts of what actually transpired, as well as security involvement in the matter. The lawmakers equally urged Nigerians to continue to be law-abiding in line with democratic tenets for the good of the country. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The political will of the present administration's commitment to building strong institutions and the pursuit for national interest have continued to earn Nigeria international respect and commendations. Talatu Ezurike reports that this is the standpoint of discussants on NTA's Current Affairs program, Tuesday Live.
Blessed with rich and human natural resources, was in the 60s to 80s the preferred destination for investment based on focused leadership that translated to growth. The story, however, changed over time due to factors that include bad leadership and corruption, giving rise to insecurity, depressed economy, and agitations. Many schools of thought are therefore happy with steps taken to tackle the trend in the last 3 years, which is yielding results with international commendations.
In terms of corruption, Nigeria has a reputation, as you understand very well, for very massive corruption. I also know that the president has been able to cut that down very substantially. They have made a lot of progress.
And that credibility that he has and that respect that he has inured to the benefit of Nigeria. The president is one of the strongest brands that this country has. And he's not wedded to the idea that it has to be him, or he has to be re-elected, or he needs to have this position. And I think that's what foreign leaders like about him.
There are lessons to be learned from President Muhammadu Buhari's people-oriented government and diplomatic drive.
Mr. President is seen as a Democrat to the core, as a person that believes in the rule of law, and as a person that believes in constitutional order. This is clearly evidenced by the fact of his non-interference in the emergence of the leadership of the National Assembly.
The government of General Buhari is doing, and what we are doing here in Kaduna, is to make sure that we reverse the trend of policy from being few specific to general specific. And that's what the Nigerian elite is fighting.
So for Mr. President to be able to have weld the country together from that precipice where we were before to now gives him out as an exemplary diplomat. One of the first things he did when he came into office was to say, hey, we have to bring Nigeria back to the forward line they had always occupied.
The general interest is to build a stronger nation, and these experts say can be achieved through right actions and synergy for overall growth. Talatu Ezurike, NTA News.
As the 2019 general elections draws nearer, the Mama Taraba Frontiers, in collaboration with coalition of APC support groups in Taraba State, have endorsed President Muhammadu Buhari for a second term in office. The groups, who made their position known at a press conference in Jalingo, said President Muhammadu Buhari remains the best candidate in view of his achievements in all sectors of the economy. Christy Ayagwa Adaji has details.
More groups in Taraba State have continued to drum support for President Muhammadu Buhari's re-election bid. The latest is the Mama Taraba Frontiers, and a coalition of all APC support groups who are drawn from different religious backgrounds with the sole purpose of ensuring the actualization of the president's second term in office.
Nigerians are witnessing a holistic war against corruption, insecurity, which are critical for attaining the hallmark on in-savage development.
All the organizations of APC in Taraba State have come together to endorse President Muhammadu Buhari.
While they continue to give reasons for supporting the president's re-election bid, the group called on electorates not to be deterred by any amount of campaign of calumny against the president, but should get their PVCs ready to return him in 2019. Like President Muhammadu Buhari, the groups also endorsed the Minister for Women Affairs and Social Development, Senator Aisha Jummai Al-Hassan, as their governorship candidate of the state.
We are satisfied and convinced by her style of leadership, and we believe that she's the only person that can salvage Taraba from the bad governance.
The groups, however, called on all Tarabans to join in the unanimous endorsement of President Muhammadu Buhari and Senator Aisha Jummai Al-Hassan to reap more dividends of democracy. In Jalingo, Christy Ayagwa Adaji, NTA News.
Still talking politics, the All Progressives Congress APC has called the attention of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Security and Civil Societies Agency to monitor the People's Democratic Party PDP in the upcoming Osun State governorship election and the 2019 general elections. In a statement by the acting National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Yekini Nabena, the party alleged that the PDP has vowed to win the Osun election and the 2019 general elections by all means. The APC says when it learned of the shocking disclosure, it initially doubted its veracity and dismissed it as one of the fake news in circulation, until further checks confirmed that the statement was actually issued by the PDP national spokesman, Kola Ologbodiyan. The PDP, the statement adds, needs to be reminded of the new realities as captured by President Buhari that the old Nigeria is slowly but surely disappearing and a new era is rising. And acting President Yemi Osinbajo has congratulated the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onnoghen, on his conferment with the 2018 Michael Hill Prize by the International Society for the Reform of Criminal Law in Montreal, Canada. Justice Walter Onnoghen was honored at the 31st Conference of the Society, an international non-governmental association of judges, legislators, lawyers, academics, governmental officials, police and correction professionals. A statement by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Office of the Acting President, Laolu Akande, says Professor Osinbajo noted that the award was in recognition of Onnoghen's commitment to the development of the country's judicial system. Said it is heartwarming to see Justice Onnoghen's hard work and commitment to deepening reforms for a more effective administration of justice system in the country received international attention and commendation from such a prestigious association. And for our next set of stories, let's join Dotun in Lagos for more on Nationwide. Hello, Dotun, it's over to you.
Thank you, Tessie, and welcome to Lagos. Artists under the aegis of the Musical Copyright Society of Nigeria can now heave a sigh of relief. This is as a result of the signing of a memorandum of understanding with the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, born in Lagos, for royalties for their works. Paul Omukagu tells us more.
The Musical Copyright Society of Nigeria for close to 3 decades has been clamoring for recognition as a collecting body for Nigerian artists, all to no avail. However, following a directive by the Attorney General of the Federation recognizing the MCSN as a collecting body, the way was paved for the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with BON. By this new agreement, artists registered with the group are now sure of being paid for their works used by BON members. Chairman of Musical Copyright Society of Nigeria, Oris Wileki, and Kenny Ogungbe, who represented the BON chairman, were confident of a new era that will be beneficial to all parties.
The question that being raised now is like, if you are not a member of MCSN, how will you be paid? Simple answer. Join MCSN. If you don't want to join MCSN, join a publishing company that is affiliated to MCSN.
You've got to start somewhere. It's not easy to bring the culture of paying for something you have never been paying for. And so where we are starting from now is the beginning.
Other BON members, including the Director General of the NTA, represented by the Deputy Director News, Lagos Network Center, and some artists are equally confident of better days ahead.
Substantially, the NT has always abided by law, and what this means is that all these have been codified, and the interest of both the artists and the organizations, particularly the broadcast organizations, will be protected.
The beginning of of structure at last. You're able to identify who's what and where.
The agreement is for 2 years and is subject to renewal at expiration. In Lagos, Paul Omukagu, NTA News.
The deaf community in Lagos State, under the aegis of Lagos State APC Deaf Support Group, has endorsed the state governor, Akim Miambode, for a second-term bid as governor of the state. Thomas Ogbete reports that the deaf community embarked on a solidarity walk from Ikeja Local Government Secretariat to the seat of power in Alausa.
Solidarity walk by the deaf community in Lagos State in support of Governor Ambode's second-term bids started from Ikeja Local Government Area Secretariat through Awolowo Way down to Government House in Alausa, Ikeja. Chairman of the Lagos State APC Deaf Support Group, Fatai Onifade, and the Secretary, Adewale Adeyanju, who led the solidarity work, said the massive physical, infrastructural, and human capital development embarked upon by Governor Ambode's administration, as well as the employment opportunity given to their members, and the Entrepreneurship Trust Fund geared towards empowering people with disability in the state are some of the reasons why they have decided to give the governor overwhelming support.
We want to march to support for him. So I want to beg all of us to have our PVC.
A team of top government functionaries led by the Permanent Secretary, Office of Civic Engagement, Fadipe Bamidele, represented the governor, thanked them for their support for the governor, also admonished them to get their permanent voters' cards.
The governor is your friend, and he has implemented various programs to assist the people with disability. The governor will continue in this spirit.
She added that Governor Ambode's administration will continue to run an all-inclusive government, as well as ensure that the taxpayers' money are judiciously used for the overall benefit of every resident of Lagos. In Lagos, Thomas Ogbetere, NTA News.
Time now to join Maiduguri Network Center for stories making the rounds in that region.
Thank you, Dotun, and welcome to Maiduguri. Adoption of contemporary methodologies has been identified as sacrosanct in winning the war against terrorism towards ensuring restoration of total peace to the Northeast sub-region. Chief of Army Staff, who was represented by the Commander, Training and Doctrine Command, Nigerian Army, Major General A.A. Salihu, made the assertion during the 2018 Nigerian Army Combat Support Arms Training Week, COSAT, in Maiduguri. Abubakar Mawed Musa reports.
With the theme, Strengthening Combat Support Arms Cooperation in Contemporary Security Challenges, the Nigerian Army Combat Support Arms Training Week, COSAT, is an annual event aimed at reviewing the security architecture in the theater for optimum performance. Representative of the Chief of Army Staff, Major General A.A. Saliu, described this year's Nigerian Army Combat Support Arms Training Week as indispensable in view of present-day realities and suggested the need for troops in the front line to apply current modus operandi in the onslaught against Boko Haram insurgents, identifying with the Nigerian Army's sustained determination in restoring lasting peace to the Northeast region. Borno State Governor, who was represented by his deputy Usman Mohamed Ruka, commended President Muhammadu Buhari for his unwavering commitment towards eliminating the remnants of Boko Haram insurgents. Commander Corps of Artillery, who is also the host Corps Commander, Major General Abubakar Adamu Tarfa, says COSAT has over the years provided an insight for high-level approach on contemporary challenges and praised the Chief of Army Staff for supporting the week-long event. Simulation exercise on how the 4 combat support arms collaborates featured, as well as exhibition of research and innovations conducted by the Nigerian Army Corps of Artillery, in addition to a demonstration on the newly adopted tactics by terrorists to infiltrate communities using water vendors. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Muhammad Musa, NTA News.
About 900 rural farmers in Gom and Mafa towns of Mafa local government area of Borno State have been provided with agricultural inputs in order to take advantage of the rainy season and engage in farming activities. Jesse Tafida reports.
Each of the 900 farmers have received 2 bags of NPK fertilizer, 6 variety of seeds, 6 liters of herbicide, cutlasses, hose and knapsack sprayer. Borno State Commissioner of Reconstruction, Rehabilitation and Resettlement, Professor Babagana Umarazun represented, said European Union funded the scheme supported by UNDP and Borno State government. He advised the farmers to use the items for the purpose intended, as monitoring items will revisit their areas to assess the progress of their farming activities. The commissioner also assured them of more government assistance towards empowering all returnees. Responding on behalf of the communities, their leaders were full of gratitude to Borno State government and UNDP for the continuous assistance to farmers. So far, farmers in 23 villages in the 3 senatorial zone of Borno State benefited from the EU-Japan-funded agricultural support programs. The UNDP has also distributed 440 solar-powered lanterns to Gom community. UNDP head of sub-office, Mizoho Yokoi, said the lanterns were donated by the Japanese government and urged the beneficiaries not to sell the lanterns, rather make judicious use of them. In Maiduguri, Jesse Tafida, NTA News.
Wife of Borno State Governor Nana Kashim Shettima has flagged off Maternal and Child Health Week in Maiduguri. The event took place at Mamanshua Memorial Hospital, Maiduguri. Abubakar Mawad Musa has reports.
While flagging off the Maternal Child Health Week, Nana Shettima said women are the nucleus of the family unit and stressed the need for them to avail themselves and their children to access health services. Nana Kashim Shettima explained that the healthcare delivery services will consolidate on previous record of successes in the areas of preventive and curative treatment as well as intervention for both mother and child. The Commissioner of Health, Haruna Michelia, said Maternal and Newborn Health Week is a strategy developed by the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and adopted during the 53rd National Council on Health in 2010. The Commissioner emphasized the importance of the day, saying it will provide high impact on maternal and child health service within the community. Haruna Michelia also pointed out that it is important to undergo HIV screening before marriage with a view to controlling HIV and AIDS in the society. UNICEF representative in Borno, Sanjay Kumar Das, said many children die of preventable diseases before the age of 5 in the state, hence the need for effective services such as supplementation, deworming, immunization, antenatal and health education. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Muhammad Musa, NTA News.
That does it from this end. It's now back to Tessie in Abuja.
Thank you, Mohammed, and welcome back to Abuja. You're watching Nationwide on the network service of Africa's largest TV network, the NTA. Let's take a break now. Nationwide continues in a moment. It's good to have you still there watching us on NTA. Next, Enugu is our stop with Chinenye on voters registration.
Thank you, Tessie, and welcome to Enugu. Imo Okorocha has directed traditional rulers in the state to ensure their subjects collect their permanent voter cards, while those who are yet to get registered should do so. Sele Osainde reports.
Governor Okorocha, who had earlier declared 2 days as work-free days for people to go and collect their PVCs, told the traditional rulers that in the next political dispensation, Imo State will increase their votes. He says the Igbos are not politically relevant at the federal level due to their low participation during voting.
It is not approved that persons without PVC in the community should be fined.
The meeting was also used to discuss security issues in the state. The traditional rulers were informed by the governor on his plans to strengthen the state's community watch, which will be in partnership with security agents in the state. Commissioner Dansuki Galadanchi educated the traditional rulers on what community policing entails, which is information sharing, intelligence gathering, and transparency. In Owerri, Selo Sande, NTA News.
As more eligible voters in Enugu State rush to various INEC registration centers to beat the August 31st closing date for the ongoing continuous voter registration exercise, the State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mr. Emeka Onanamadu, has assured the people of the state that no willing eligible voter in the state will be left unregistered at the end of the exercise. Jude Abugu monitored the registration process in some centers in Enugu.
After the announcement by the Independent National Electoral Commission that the ongoing continuous voters registration will be suspended, INEC registration centers across the state began to record large turnout of eligible voters.
Particular ward, Unguono ward, has the highest voting population in
that there is still quantity of time. But because now the thing is ending, and that is why you see a lot of people coming out in mass.
This influx of prospective voters added more pressure to INEC personnel, prompting the resident electoral commissioner to visit some registration centers where he also assisted in registering some prospective voters. He called on the people not to panic, as the commission has the capacity to capture every eligible voter in the state before the exercise closes. He, however, regretted that the exercise, which was greeted with apathy in the state when it initially commenced in April 2017, is witnessing a large turnout few days to the closing date.
The significance of this exercise is to let people know that, one, your vote is your right, and it can only be your right if you have registered as a voter.
In other centers visited by NTA News crew, people were waiting to be captured. Although they complained that they have spent long hours waiting for their turns, they commended the commission for bringing the mobile registration units closer to them. The commission also reminded those that have registered to come for their PVCs before 2019 general election. In Enugu, Jude Abugu, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Enugu. Let's now join Sokoto, where Asmao is standing by with more reports from that zone.
Thank you, Chinenye. Good afternoon and welcome to Sokoto. About 4,000 internally displaced persons, IDPs, in Shinkafi local government area of Zamfara State are to benefit from free medical services of the Nigerian Air Force. The gesture, which is part of the social and community service programs of the Nigerian Air Force, will include surgeries to over 100 persons. Haliru Muhammad Umar has the details.
Several communities in different parts of Zamfara State were recently displaced following a series of attacks by armed bandits. 3 local government areas of Shinkafi, Maradun and Zurmi were the worst hit by the attacks, which rendered thousands of people homeless, thereby making them take refuge in schools and other places in their local government headquarters. Considering their number at Shinkafi camp, and some of them had sustained various degrees of injuries and the fear of being infected by various diseases, the Nigerian Air Force deemed it necessary to provide free medical services to alleviate their sufferings. The medical outreach, which targets 4,000 beneficiaries and 120 surgeries, is one of the social and community service programs of the Nigerian Air Force. Speaking at the flag-off ceremony, the Force Director, Public Health and Humanitarian Services, Group Captain Azubike Chukuka, said it is their tradition to provide social and medical outreach to host communities wherever they operate. Zamfara State Governor, represented by the State Commissioner of Health, Alhaji Lawali Muhammad Liman, commended the Nigerian Air Force for the gesture and promised to complement the effort to achieve the desired result. He then assured the victims of the continued effort of the state government to collaborate with security agencies to bring an end to the lingering crisis. Currently, the Shinkafi camp is accommodating about 12,000 displaced persons from various areas of the local government. In Gusau, Halliru Muhammad Umar, NTA News.
The Sokoto Rima River Basin Development Authority has assured farmers in Sokoto and Kebbi states of adequate supply of water from the Goronyo Dam, as normal release of water has resumed due to availability of rainfall this year. Managing Director of the authority, Buhari Muhammad Baturi, stated this in a statement issued on the current state of water at the Goronyo Dam. Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila has the details.
Last year, the rice farmers in Silame local government area complained of losing rice worth 200 million naira due to inadequate supply of water from Goronyo Dam. To tackle this problem, the Sokoto-Rima River Basin Development Authority assured the farmers of normal release of water for agricultural and other basic daily activities. Some of the farmers interviewed had earlier expressed fear over the reoccurrence of the loss encountered last year, but with this development, they expressed hope of having a bumper harvest. A crop scientist with the Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, Dr. Mukhtar Musa Bodinga, attributed the challenges of rice farming to inadequate sensitization on modern ways of using improved seedlings in rice production.
I go with the federal government actually in trying to encourage rice production, maybe in trying to check importation of rice. It's good actually if we can do that, but then we have to invest in providing farming facilities, in training farmers. You know, at times we even have to go for subsidy, but to make sure that production is we are producing enough to manage the country, then maybe we start to think of how profitable can it be.
He advised farmers to engage the services of experts as well as governments at all levels to assist the farmers, especially small-scale farmers, with modern farming equipment. In Sokoto, Abraham Osman Jibrila, NTA News.
And that's it. From Sokoto is back to Tessie in Abuja for more on Nationwide News. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Asma. Thank you. Acquiring technical vocational education and training is the currency of the 21st century. Director General Industrial Training Fund ITF Joseph Ari, who said this at a press briefing in Abuja, noted that for this to be achieved, the perception of Nigerians about technical skills must change. Olainka Ojo tells us more.
For 6 years, the Industrial Training Fund, ITF, has been promoting and encouraging the acquisition of skills in industry and commerce with a view to generating a pool of indigenous trained manpower to meet the needs of most sectors of the economy. But despite federal government's effort at ensuring millions of Nigerians acquire both vocational and technical skills, which will in turn create more jobs, reduce poverty through its economic recovery and growth plan, the projection that by 2050, the population of Nigeria will be about 500 million is an issue that needs critical attention. This is why the Director General ITF, Joseph Ari, is advocating the inclusion of skills and technical education in the curriculum of primary to tertiary levels.
If a student goes through the four corners of the university, an engineering student, for example, and does not know about the equipment he is meant to work with in industries, he becomes a substandard material.
With the federal government diversification programs lubricating companies and bringing them to life, the ITF boss noted that 925 trades are difficult to fill in the country's labor market due to lack of requisite skills. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Youths that have benefited from the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization UNESCO TAP project have expressed optimism of a brighter future. They were speaking at the first anniversary celebration of the project, where they were presented with checks to start up their various entrepreneurial ventures. Dennis Adeguloye reports that the checks were presented by the Senior Special Assistant to the President of Sustainable Development Goals, Adejoke Orelope Adefulire.
Experts, the worldwide population of youths is on a steady increase, and Nigeria is no exception, with youths comprising the greater proportion of the population. With this fact in mind, the UNESCO TAP project, in commemoration of the United Nations International Youth Day, is supporting federal government's youth programs with financial grants to youths who have participated in practical and theoretical training in key areas of intellectual capacity building, leadership, and economic advancement.
The illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write alone, but it comprises of those who cannot unlearn the meaning lies they have been conditioned to believe, and then to seek out the hidden knowledge they have been conditioned to reject. Example, how can a young Nigerian pack like 800, 700,000 and say you want to travel and at the end of you meet yourself in Italy, you meet yourself in Libya?
Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs urged beneficiaries to do what they can to extend their knowledge and experience to the less privileged.
Because if you are an orphan and you don't have anybody to help you, you are vulnerable. So not that you are not intelligent, not that you are not smart, but because of the circumstance surrounding your development.
It has given me like the platform to choose from different programs and skills, and so far so good. I'm now a professional caterer.
It had enhanced my skills to also use it to build other youths.
This project has really helped me acquire more skills about cosmetology and beauty therapy.
The project, with the theme Informed Developmental Programs, the key to reducing unemployment, also seeks to achieve SDGs 1, 2, 8 and 9, which include no poverty or hunger, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure. Dennis at Degunloye, NTA News.
It's time now for another break. Don't go away.
Not lucky.
And that's it on Nationwide for today. We do thank you for watching. Do stay on, enjoying the rest of our programs. Good evening.